Hey everybody, it's me, Courtney from Little Lamb Homestead. Today I'm going to be kind of multitasking. I need to get this entire basket frozen so that it's easier for me to make into sauce. I learned from Roots and Refuge that if you scoop out the stem and cut an X on the bottom and then freeze it, when you take them out of the freezer and thaw them, the skin comes right off. And honestly, that's a lot easier than trying to boil them. I do need a paper towel though, just to kind of wipe some of these off, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back with my paper towel. Like I said, I'm going to kind of multitask today. Because I've just been really busy, and I want to get this done, but I also want to talk about the things that I've learned from gardening this year, and talk about some of the plans that I have for next year, which a lot of them are pretty exciting. Basically, I have decided that I'm going to kind of change my game plan for next year. I'm not going to focus too much on trying to get a spring garden in. We live at kind of like the base of a hill. And so in the spring, when the 4 feet of snow and the rain is coming, the snow is melting and the rain is coming, my garden is just completely underwater. There's really no way for me to get a spring garden in unless I was doing raised gardens, which my student loans are about to kick in, and a raised garden bed is just not in the picture. So that's fine. You really don't need a raised garden bed. But I've decided that I'm not going to really focus on trying to get a massive spring garden in. And what I mean by spring garden is I'm not going to worry about radishes, brassicas, like broccoli, lettuces. I'm not going to worry about any of that stuff. Because by the time the soil is no longer drenched and I can start planting things, it's really hot, and that's kind of the problem that I faced this year, was that I tried to plant broccoli and radishes once the ground was no longer saturated, and it got too hot and everything bolted. That really sucked. I was really looking forward to growing my own food, like some of those things. But that's, like I said, it's fine. It's a learning experience. I've learned, that next year I probably shouldn't waste my efforts on something that I know is most likely going to either get rained out or, it's going to get too hot before it can really generate any produce. So that is the first thing that I learned. I'm not going to, waste my time on plants that I know will not be successful. With that being said, I also plan on focusing more on a summer garden. So that means that I really want to plant more tomatoes, which is kind of funny because I feel like my tomatoes got out of hand this year, as I said in one of my videos, but I will talk about that later. But I want to do more tomatoes next year. I think I have like 5 or 6 varieties that I have decided to add to next year's garden. That one's kind of, I think it got cracked, but it's fine, so I'm just going to cut that part out. This year I had 4 normal tomatoes and 2 different types of cherry tomatoes. And I definitely found out what I like. I really love the Homestead tomatoes. They're a great size. They are consistently not cat-faced. The plants don't quite produce as much as the New Yorkers or the Roma tomatoes that I planted, but they're just gorgeous tomatoes. So I definitely want to plant more Homestead potatoes next year. And I want to plant new tomatoes next year. Some of the ones that I got were like pink brandywine. I got some pineapple tomatoes, stuff like that, that I really want to try new. And I'm still going to grow Roma and probably New Yorkers. I'm just not going to grow as many. So, summer garden, I want to focus on more tomatoes. I want to focus on more beans. I only got to plant a couple of bean plants. So I'm definitely going to focus on beans more. I would like to, I'm not going to plant any peas. I was pretty much the only person that ate them. And even then, I felt like I didn't really get enough joy out of them. I would much rather plant beans. I like beans better. I like raw or cooked beans, where peas, I only like them raw. So I'm going to focus on beans more next year. I have burgundy bush beans and just standard green beans and dragon tongue bush beans that I'm going to plant next year. So those are going to be 3 beans that I'm going to be planting next year, and I'm going to be planting them fairly abundantly. This one is gross. Dang it. It's a big tomato too. I don't want to no, I'm just going to throw that tomato away. Dang it. That one was kind of cat-faced on top, and I think something might have just gotten into it. It was kind of like this, and around the cracks were no good. They were no good. So, yeah. Beans, I want to focus on trying to produce cucumbers better this year. My cucumbers all died, and my father's cucumbers all died, so we were left with no cucumbers. So next year I want to focus on trying to grow cucumbers. I don't really know if there's anything different we can try. I just think it was kind of like a bad season for them. Guys, please don't try to use the same knife skills that I'm using, because you'll probably cut yourself. I am likely to cut myself, honestly. This has like no jelly. So yeah, I'm gonna do zucchini again. And then I am going to try to do ground cherries. Ground cherries. What else is new? Oh, peppers. I am going to still plant jalapenos. And I'm going to still plant banana peppers. I'm going to plant some new pepperoncinis that I bought. And then I think that's it. I really did not enjoy the Anaheim peppers. I didn't like the taste. So, you know, obviously I didn't really use them. So there's no point in me growing them if I'm not going to use them or enjoy them. And my green peppers just did not really produce. I don't know if that was, you know, my error. I don't know if that was, you know, the seeds that I used, but they didn't really produce, and nobody really seemed to be missing them. So I might grow 1 or 2 plants, but I don't think I'm going to put a huge focus on green peppers. So yeah, those are kind of my plans for next year. I'm going to ditch the peas, and I'm going to focus a lot more on tomatoes, and beans. 2 things that I really enjoy to eat, and that I know that I'll use. Dang it. The other thing that I learned this year from seed starting is that I need to start a lot sooner than I did. I really want my plants to be more mature than what they were when I planted them in the ground this year. So I'm probably going to start my seeds closer to February. Probably closer to like the beginning of February. I think I waited till the end of February to plant them. And, you know, my reasoning in that was that I didn't want the plants to get too big, and then, you know, run out of space to hold them. However, I have plenty of space, and I've learned ways to kind of get around that. You know, if it's your first time gardening, I would definitely say don't plant too soon. But because I kind of have a game plan to get around that, I'm not too worried about starting them too soon. The other thing that I learned is that I don't need to plant 1,000 seeds in 1 cup, because you're just going to end up throwing seedlings away, you know. So this year, I'm going to be planting 1 seed per cup, and then if it doesn't germinate, I will either restart it or I will move on. You know, if I plant, let's say 6 of the same seed in 6 different cups and 2 of them don't germinate, I still have 4 plants that are viable options, which, you know, is more than enough. Ooh, that one's nasty. So I'm going to be only planting 1 seed per cup so that I can focus on, you know, just keeping them healthy. I don't have to mess with the seedlings. I don't have to thin them out. I don't have to transplant them as often. And it just makes the root system a lot healthier. So when it comes to seedlings, that's pretty much all I think I'm going to be doing differently, is planting one seed per cup and starting them earlier. And then obviously planting new items. I decided not to save seeds this year just because I wasn't ready. I don't know. I know that giving up one tomato to collect seeds can lead to millions more tomatoes the next year. But in my head, I still can't get over the fact that I am losing a whole tomato by, saving the seeds. That's totally a mental thing. That's literally just me being a little too frugal, probably. But, it is what it is. I've come to terms with it. I'm okay with it. I have plenty of seeds left over from last year, so, saving seeds is not, it's not the end of the world. Next year, I think that's going to be a goal of mine, is to try to learn how to save seeds. But this year, it's just not a goal of mine. And then the other thing that I've decided I want to work on and change for next year's garden is the structure of the garden. Right now, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I had single stakes in the ground and tried to tie the stems to those single stakes. That did not work. I don't know if it was the type of tape that I used or what, but it didn't work. And I need to do something different next year, because right now my plants are all over the ground. My tomatoes are getting dirty, slugs are getting on them. It's just not pretty. It's not, my tomato plants are producing fine, but I'm having to throw away tomatoes because, slugs have gotten into them and started eating them. So, a lot of people are worried about tomato hornworms, and I have to worry about, slugs. So, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's gross. But next year, my plan to kind of combat that is to do cattle panels like Roots and Refuge Farm made popular. And I'm going to prune them a lot better. Because part of me really hates cutting part of my plant off. But the other part knows that if I cut that part of the tomato plant off, the rest can grow stronger. So I am going to prune my plants next year. And if you don't know what that means, just a real quick explanation of it is when your plant's growing straight and it has a normal shoot off. When there's a part growing out of the armpit area, you cut that off. So this little part right here would be gone. So next year I'm going to prune my tomatoes as best I can. I'm going to try to keep up with it. I'm pretty busy, so we'll see how much actually gets pruned. But that is a goal next year, is to make sure that I keep up with pruning my tomatoes, and making sure that, the plant is growing healthy and strong, and it just doesn't need all that extra nonsense. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which ones need more time. to ripen, because I will send those over to my grandmother. Alright. My grandmother makes chili, and so I like to give her tomatoes, so I will put these in a bag for her. This one, okay, this is totally a tangent. This one got super cat-faced. This is probably like 4 tomatoes fused together, but I thought it was really cool, and so I picked it, and it will definitely just go in the garbage, but I thought it was really cool, and I don't know, I just wanted to show people. I thought it was really pretty. Sorry, back to what I was saying. So next year I want to do cattle panels and prune my tomatoes so that I can attach them more balanced, and they're not trying to be all onto one stake. They're kind of spread out more. And I think, oh, that one's kind of rotten. Never mind. I think that will definitely help the tomatoes, stay where they're supposed to be, and it'll help my anxiety knowing that they're where they're supposed to be. Like I said, having them on the ground really isn't, it's not the end of the world. They're growing fine, they're producing fine, but it looks sloppy and it does not make me happy. So moving forward, I want to put in some cattle panels, or chicken whiter, just something that I can tie the plant to, and kind of wrap it around, and coax it to grow up a fence. And then the other thing that I really want to do is try to stay on top of the weeds better, which that is just me being lazy, and I'll be totally honest about it. I put the newspapers down, like I said in my other like I've showed in my other videos, and I'll tell you right now, it worked, but the weeds that were on like the ends of the newspaper started to grow around the newspaper, and I could have easily pulled them. I just got overwhelmed and lazy and preoccupied with other priorities that I didn't spend enough time in my garden trying to make sure that it wasn't overrun by weeds. On the flip side of that, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, the problem that I had this year is that I put the tarp down kind of late, and we weren't able to kill off the grass and the weeds before we tilled it. So when we tilled it, we put, all that weed and grass just back in the ground. So this year, before snow comes, we're putting the tarp down, so that way next year none of that can even grow. So we'll put the tarp down, it'll snow, it'll kill everything underneath the tarp, and then when spring comes, whatever's under the tarp will not regrow, which will give us a much better advantage next year when we till the garden. So yes, I was being lazy, and most of the problem was because I did not spend enough time in my garden. But to play devil's advocate and to pull myself out of the hole that I just made, I was starting a battle that was already being fought by the weeds. So yes, I will claim my own part in it, but that is one of the reasons why the weeds were so bad this year. So next year, it'll be less of an issue. It'll obviously still be a valid issue, but I'll have a leg ahead in next year's garden. So yeah. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of plans that I have in my head that I just haven't really figured out yet. And once I figure them all out, I'll share them with you. I do really want to make a blog post, kind of explaining things a little bit deeper, putting them in bullet points so that people can maybe understand and follow better, because I know I can ramble a lot. So I really want to write a blog post, and if/when I do write that blog post, I will link it down below so that you can follow that website. Hey guys, so I'm not exactly sure where my video cut off. So just a really quick recap. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have things coming in the future, even though they're definitely going to be irregular. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you don't mind that this was more of a sit down and talk video. And I guess if there's a ton missing in this video, I will have to record another segment just kind of summarizing what I missed. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys really liked this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!